Joe, do you know where Reggie is?
You want?
It's around close.
I need him. Do you have any idea where he might be?
Okay, we'll begin our work session. Okay, well, Joe, you have anything?
Nothing other than the window project, they were delivered today, to replace all the windows out the entire jail, about a $220,000 project. They're delivered to start work on installation tomorrow. So, take them 2 to 3 weeks to do the whole project, so that, get the new windows in that we've been needing and stuff, so that's all I've got right now.
Good job, Sheriff. I think you do a wonderful, wonderful job, and I support you 100%.
I'm gonna take one of those, so I'm not gonna get that, so.
I thought you had anything.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, very quick. Just an update on our cement stabilization process we're doing. That machine's running today. So we've got everything except the missing link with the cement. Okay, the day that we demoed it and had great results on that, we had a company from down south bring us a load of cement in. And so we kind of pulled a favor to get that done. Used to, a lot of counties did that. They would hire companies to bring them in. But when the trucking industry got rocky, that was something that those companies stopped doing. They just lost the availability to spread, have a guy on site. So now, most counties are buying their own tanker and spread it themselves. I've been getting prices on those. Those range anywhere from used, they're like mid 50,000s, to new, they're just under 90. And so I just got those prices today. That's our next step in this. So we need to get some cement, but we gotta have some way to get it here. And so I'm also, I've been dealing with Cemex, which is a company out of Decatur. It's one of the largest cement companies in the world, actually. But they've got a terminal in Decatur, and talking to them about getting some preliminary pricing, and we'll probably end up doing a bid for cement. We'll have to do we'll do it basically probably 2 ways. One way where we pick up a plant, and another way where they bring it to us. Those companies will still bring it to you. They just don't want to spread it. And so the spreading that's the tricky part. And so and it's dusty, and they don't want their trucks to be a part of that. So we will probably have to do a bid on that soon. There is a ACCA joint bid that we've already used, which is a great price. It's $160 a ton for the cement. But the problem is you got to pick it up in Raglan, Alabama, which is like over around Pell City. So 2 hour, 45-minute drive. So just do the math on that. So if you're going to start the day, you'd have to make a 6 hour turnaround by the time you get loaded. So either somebody's got to start really, really early, or you're going to have it sitting, over the weekend waiting for a Monday morning, and then as soon as he loads, have to leave. It's just, it's not impossible, and there's a lot of counties that make a drive that far, but man, if we could get it to Decatur, even if we have to pay a little bit more, I think it would be a good option for us to have. So, also the having a price of them bringing it to us, that's something I think we should have in our back pocket, just in case we need that as well. So,
Are you gonna try with the limestone?
actually, well, that's where I was going. So we've got the limestone. That's what we're doing right now. We're putting crusher run down. We're going back in. We're milling the road up. We're incorporating that into the road. Having good luck out of that. But there are going to be places that we need to add the cement. If it's poor, if it's really poor subgrade, we're going to need to add the cement. And so it's going to be the real difference maker. Now today, Terracon came in. We met with them last week. They came in today and did samples. So we've got those guys doing full sampling on everything. So they actually sampled the material just after we ground it. They got a sample of material that was this deep. And then they got a sample of other material where we had already incorporated crusher run into it. So they got some and then they got some that we've already mixed up. They're going to take that back to the lab, and they've asked us which cement company we'll be using. They've got a sample of the cement. They will do tests on adding different amounts of cement and different amounts of water. And they'll get us a testing recommendation. So they'll come back and say, with that material, if you'll add this many pounds of cement and this much water, you'll have something that will hold up.
Well, now, do we not have anybody local that can do that?
There's no way. You saw it's testing? Or
The concrete thing.
Now, some of your ready-mix companies, your concrete ready-mix companies, they get cement, but I'm looking to buy it from where they buy cement. And so now We'll get a price from those guys too, but in volume, it's probably gonna be worth our while to go to Decatur. You know, no farther than Decatur is. You know, it's probably not Shell City. But those local guys too, remember, I checked around on a few of these plants. A concrete plant's probably gonna have, on a given day, on a normal day, anywhere between 3 and 5 tankers of cement, okay? I think we'll use 2 a day. I don't know that they're gonna wanna give us
Well, that's what I'm
40%.
getting at, on a as-needed basis, because you're not gonna need it every day. And, I just can't see not buying it local versus paying somebody to drive 200 miles.
Right, right.
I mean, that don't even make sense to me.
But I don't know that our ready-mix companies will sell it to us local. I think they will some. I think if we got into a pinch, they'd sell us a load. But
And it-
those guys depend on that. You know, that's how they've gotta have it to make their concrete. And so, these cement companies are pretty specialized. And so they sell to the concrete companies, but from my research, I think it's easier to buy straight from the cement company if you can. But that would be in Decatur.
Well, the people that you're talking about spreading it, these local people don't spread it. We don't have people that can, I've spread concrete,
No, it's cement, it's Portland
well,
cement.
it's cement,
So
yeah.
it's dry, so it's just powder keg dry, and that stuff, it runs like water.
So no water in it.
None, it's
You
powder.
just depend on the moisture from the ground.
You know, we put moisture in it, so that machine we bought, we dial it down, right now, we're putting 1.8%. That's how fine tuned it'll get. We play with that moisture, and we've already got some data from other places that we're using to get our moisture, and then Terracon will come back and give us an exact moisture percentage as well. But you add that moisture with what's in the ground. So to get real technical, you're actually looking for 10.8%. That's the perfect number. But the ground around here is usually got about 9. That's pretty average. And so we add 1.7 to get it to that perfect. And so that's where the moisture comes from.
We talking about buying the machine, are we gonna have that many places to warrant buying a machine, and the upkeep of it? Be like me buying a dozer and doing upkeep on it myself versus hiring somebody and paying them. I'm not getting it.
There's nobody to hire. There's nobody to hire. Nobody in North Alabama does it. So the only people that do this here would be the company that takes the trailer truck that goes from the cement terminal to Smarter Ready Mix. There's a tanker truck that hauls cement from the terminal to the concrete plant. But all they do is put it in that truck, and they hook it up at the terminal, and they fill it up, and they drive it, and then they get to the concrete plant, and they offload it into their silos. They just transfer it. What
Yeah.
we're doing is, it's got a spreader behind it, and you discharge it, and you drive down the road, it puts it out. Yeah, it's a pretty unique process. Now, down south, there's people that do it. People that do it. But up here, there's just nobody. I haven't found anybody that does it.
Eric, you don't want to handle it twice. You want it in your truck, coming from the supplier, and then be able to
Yes.
put it on the road. Or you don't want to perhaps get it from one of our concrete companies that orders cement, maybe work out a deal with them to get it delivered to us.
That's right.
You just want to handle it one time.
That's right. Some places do build their own silo, and you could pay somebody to bring it from the cement company to the silo, but you still got to get it from the silo to the job. I don't think there's any way around a tanker, whether it's spreading it or whether it's going to get it. I mean, that's the only way to get it here, you know.
So you pick it up in a dump truck then, right?
No, in a tanker. A tanker is to me, I always used to call them milk trucks. Looks like an old truck that you put milk in on a dairy farm, you know, big
Do we
stainless
have
steel.
one of those?
No, that's what I'm talking about we need. That's what I'm talking about we need, yeah. So it's, and you'll know, hang on, I got a picture.
Have you thought about limestone here?
Thought about it.
So let me ask this, Eric. Let me ask you a question. Can you not take real fine crush or run? Is the lime in it not fine enough, some of it, to do what we want to do?
Well, no, for sure. I think you stepped out when I said that, but I've got Terracon testing. We've got them testing something that we've already mixed like crush around with. And it's probably gonna be enough 80% of the time. But that other 20%, the cement's the magic. That stuff, y'all need to go out there and see the stuff we put cement in. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
When are y'all gonna pay that?
Whenever Roger come back,
You know,
So-
Roger, they used to use limestone and concrete around here back when they couldn't get the true Portland cement. But there's a world of difference in Portland cement and fine limestone, if you really want the concrete to set up.
yeah. And money-wise, it'll be better. And the other thing is, this one tanker replaces a bunch of dump trucks.
So when you said the money's better with the Portland cement?
It's not substantial on just product to product, but that one tanker does, you know, a lot more than we can do with loads and loads of crusher runs, you see what I'm saying? And so it's, price-wise, it's probably 80% of the cost of limestone, but when you look at the total picture of what you're doing, you're just using less resources. So,
What about the storage in that trailer? If you get the truckload or trailer load and you don't use it all, is it gonna set up?
for, you know, it's airtight and it's pressurized inside, so it's airtight for, I'm gonna say weeks. Okay, so, but it's not something, this isn't something we would want to store in there, but it's something that, you know, if you got halfway through a job, you need to leave a half a tanker for the weekend, that's fine. Matter of fact, the guy that brought our first load, we talked to him about that, he said, they just load theirs up, leave them outside. We said, you let it rain on it? He said, yeah, it's fine. Then you gotta, of course, you want to spray they spray the outside off if it's got any grease on it, but it's not a major risk of getting inside, because like I said, it is pressurized inside.
How much does this pressurized truck cost?
They're anywhere between, a used one is 55 and a new one is around 90. So of course, we'd have to bid it, but I want to get our testing results back. They said that would take 3 to 4 weeks. I may put a bid out just to get our prices, get them official, so we got them. Howell makes the best trailer of these. They're the ones that are 90. We could buy one that's in stock for about 80. The Howell won't be here. It wouldn't be available until mid-October. So just looking at the calendar, I don't know. But we may put a bid together and just see what we can get. But also, it's hard for me to say we spend 55 on a used one when you could get a new one for, you know, I mean, that's a 7-year-old used one. But I also don't know what wears out on these things. I don't know. I'm being as honest as I can with y'all. I wish I could tell you I was just an absolute expert on this. I'm not. I know a lot of counties that's got this, and most of them run Hile. I do know that's the most reputable brand. So, but when we get our Terracon results back, that's going to tell us what we need to know. And so we don't need to buy one until we get that back and hear from them. And it's that, because, you know, there's a chance they could come back, and I've even got them checking lime. I said, just check and see if pelletized lime is an issue, is a viable option. They told me that that's never been a good option for them here. The cement has always been a lot better. Lime is very corrosive as well. So
Well, you know me, I don't want to get the cart before the horse until we know this is gonna work, because you dig out and put concrete right here, first thing you know, you got the same thing all the way around it. Or not concrete, but cement, whatever. So I'd like to see how this is gonna work before, I mean, that's just my opinion.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'll report back, we'll get our Terracon stuff. And so in the meantime, I'll get you one day, we'll go out and I'll show you what this thing looks like. And so, the proof's in the pudding out there for sure. It's set up really, really good. And so, and they're covering a lot of ground with it. So we're definitely making tracks on it. So, Terracon, like I said, they said 3 to 4 weeks, but I expect it to be a little quicker than that. So paving, County Road 61, Rogers Group actually pulled off. They went to Winston County. They called a few minutes ago and said that job's not ready, so they're gonna come back. They're probably fixing to pave County Road 61. We are probably going to restrict them from paving the north end of that, like we were going to. We've found some water issues up there that we're not real comfortable with, and so we're just gonna skip that section. I'm not comfortable paving over that when I got a good feeling that's fixing to need to be dug up. So just know if you get any calls about why we skipped a section, it's a water issue.
You said the north end of 61?
About a quarter mile from County Road 8 down. Yeah. From 300. of the
Yeah.
8th. And the last thing, I just kind of want to mention, you guys, I've had a lot of phone calls about this, and I'm sure y'all have seen this too. Mobile home parks, RV parks, and apartment complexes. I'm seeing them go up all over the place, and I'm getting calls about people buying places to put them in. I got a call today, we got from Michigan, buying a place up in Green Hill somewhere, and he's wanting to put a bunch of mobile homes on it. And so, that's not something we currently regulate, but we've talked about that before, and I think y'all know where I'm at on that. It's something I think it'd be a good time to start looking at it. So if y'all ever want to start that conversation, just let me know.
I think we should. I think you should put us together some ratings and let's look at them.
Okay. All right, that's all I got. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On that subject, Gary, does the public health get involved in that with septic tank issues and all that? And so,
I mean, they just regulate septic tank issues, and that was a question that guy asked me, which I told him I wouldn't answer, couldn't, but wouldn't, was, how many trailers can I put on a septic tank? You need to call the health department. Yeah, so that's, our current rates are set up in a way that it just kind of, it lets the health department regulate that, which is, I think is the best way to do it. But still, there's a lot of things that could go wrong with situations like this, because you're kind of opening up a private road situation again. So.
Would depend on the size of the septic tank too, right?
Mhm.
I know where there's about 10 on one, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, I'll see what I can find out. Thank you.
All right. Didn't think I had anything until I got a call this afternoon. I'm pretty ready to bring it to you. I was calling BFI or Republic to check on their, we got an agreement contract, and they have renewal for it. Well, apparently they have, and right now we pay $20.95 a ton to dispose of garbage at their landfill in Morris Farms. Apparently there's a clause in our contracts, been in there since the first one we ever did. It says that they can go up, or if we agree to it, they want to go to $30 a ton. And I told them, I said, I don't think that'll happen unless we rebid it. And so, I mean, $30 a ton, that'd be $9 more a ton that you're charging us to take the garbage up there. I want to do some more talking with them before we get into it a little bit further, and I got the contract, I'm leaving, make a copy and leave it with him, let him look at the whole thing. So, Chris. I understand, Chris, excuse me. So, but, I just did some rough figures. Last fiscal year, we averaged 2,100 tons a month going up there. That would be, we paid out last fiscal year $542,214 a day. If it goes up to $30, that jumps it to $756,000.
What are our options, Tom?
We're not in. That's the thing. I can take it to Decatur at $30 a ton. The other option is to bid it out. And the thing about it is, it probably cost more. They'll probably get it anyway, because we're not wanting to haul it to Mississippi like we were before. That's a no-win. The Mississippi groups went up on Florence to 66. They just went up on Lawrence County, Tennessee to 65.
See what you can negotiate for us.
Well,
See if there's any handcuffs.
the girl asked me, she said, what do you think the commission what do you think they would go for if to keep, they don't want to really rebid it. And I said, I don't know. I told them I'd talk to y'all and see. I was kind of thinking maybe 25, split the difference, to see if we could work that out and make that happen. And I was kind of looking at some other avenues of how to offset that a little bit. I know y'all been talking about the increase, nothing special, but one thing, I've made some calls this afternoon. I really hope we can sit down and talk about this in detail. We're the only people that is not charging for that second cart and third carts. They get free pickup on the second cart. They don't charge the extra, to that third one. Most of the rest of them, Carver County's rate is $20.25, and And it don't, if they get 3 cards, that's 60, 75 they're paying a month. So I think we need to seriously think about that. Now, they give them the card, where we're selling, you know, where we're making a deposit on it now, a one-time deposit. And I've talked to well, like I said, I think we're the only ones right now that's doing it, and I've talked to about 15 different ones today.
Tom, so they're charging, the same outfit's charging Florence $60 a ton?
No, not us. Waste Connections, the group out of Mississippi. As of August 1st, September 1st, they're gonna go with $66 a ton.
So why does Florence not try to go with the same outfit we're going to?
Well, they are. That's what they're fixing. They're rebuilding it now to try to get to that. Florence is trying to find a transfer station. Try to build their own or do something.
Maybe contract with somebody?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're looking at trying to do, like they did in Athens or someplace like that, to try to transfer it up there. See, that's what gets me is, and that's why I want to talk to them, Franklin County, they're hauling Franklin counties and disposing of it for $30.45 a ton. So if they're gonna haul theirs, they better be going up on theirs too. That's what I'm getting at, 'cause we're the only game in town that's hauling our own. So that's the reason, he's told me time after time, said, you got the best rate to state of Alabama.
Well, don't sound to me like we got much choice.
Well, we don't. I mean, we really don't. And the scary thing to me is if we hold their feet to the fire and say, no, for 2 more years, we're gonna do it this, I'm afraid what it'll be in 3 years when we do bid it out.
Yeah.
See what you can do.
I will. I'll get back with you. I told the lady I talked to, but I wanted you to look over it first.
Well.
Mr. Smith. And
Go ahead, don't even break those. You can get
and I'll
that
get a
signed.
copy, I'll get the police to make a copy.
Thank you.
This is about, what's that big?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
So get paid by the word.
Yeah, well, I can't afford you. But that's all I got, so. All right, just want to make, one other thing, if y'all, I had a complaint from some residents on County Road 230. It's a dead-end road, it's out there in Glendale, I don't know where that is. My drivers, there's a little boy at the end of the road who's autistic. Every Friday morning, him and his daddy stand out there waiting on that truck to come, and they honk the horn, because he's doing this. They get out and talk to him. Everybody else on that road is raising Cain because they honking the horn.
What time's he honking?
Well, they out there about 7 o'clock.
Listen, that looks a crop.
Well, they need to be up, people need to be
I
up at that time
understand. But
anyway.
anyway, I told them, I said, please don't do it no more, just to keep me, they did it the other day, before I talked to them, I said, I got rained out again. I got a letter from the residents of County Road 230.
Really?
Yeah. But if y'all get a call, it's been taken care of.
Okay.
I was gonna look up everybody that lived out there and send them a personal letter and tell them why they were doing it and make them feel about that big, but
That's kind of childish.
I understand, because they disturb their sleep in the mornings.
Yeah.
Okay, Brett.
Good afternoon. Several things to discuss with you. First, I talked with the sheriff, and I feel like this is probably my responsibility more so than it is his to bring to the commission. So, as you're all aware, we've been over the course of the last couple of months doing our due diligence on computer-aided dispatch software for 911. And through that conversation, it's become clear that our best option is to add on to the existing system that the Sheriff's Department has been using for the last 30 years, and that's the Spillman system. So if you'll remember, a number of years ago, the County Commission agreed to put within Joe's budget, it was Sheriff Singleton's budget before that, for Spillman. But what the county bought was the records management system. They bought the mobile reporting system, which is how they do their reports and submit them to the state, and then the imaging and jail systems. So on their computers and their cars, they can look up the historical information, they can look up the jail information, they can put pictures into it and that type of stuff, but they don't have the dispatch screen. So they can't dispatch themselves, they can't see the calls on the screen and all of that stuff. So what Spillman has come back to us with is what the cost will be for the licensing for that additional module. And so what I've told all of the chiefs, the fire chiefs, and our folks in-house is 911 is gonna pay to implement this system. That's gonna cost us about $285,000, not on the commission's back. But in order to get the law enforcement folks on it, the first year for their licensing is gonna be $58,000. And that's for 50 licenses for the sheriff's department. Reason I'm bringing it to you is because I don't want it to negatively impact the sheriff's budget. After that first year of implementation, the yearly maintenance that will be associated with that's only about $16,000. So you pay for all of the build out to build his agency, to do everything that he's got to do. Now each other, so Killen, Lexington, Rogersville, St. Florine, Florence Fire Department will all have to pay their share, and it's based on numbers. So for instance, Killen has 7 officers. For Killen to get on to the system, it'll cost them in their first year $7,700 and then $1,400 every year after that. So it's all based on the number of licenses that are associated. Does that make sense? So I bring that to you for a couple of reasons. We haven't signed the contract. I haven't taken it to the 911 board yet. I intend to do that this month. But it's important to me, and I think from my understanding from you, it's important to you all that all of us are on the same system and can use the same thing. And so that's what the cost is going to be for Sheriff Hamilton's agency. I just kind of wanted to gauge the temperature of the commission, if that's going to be something that you're going to be open to looking at for his department. Like I said, just to kind of break it down, what it amounts to is the overall project is going to cost about $400,000. And then every year after that, it's going to be about $40,000. That's split between each of the agencies and what their cost is. The way the system is going to be set up, since the server and all of the components, the hardware of the system are already purchased and in-house, there's no additional cost associated with that. The city of Florence will still maintain that. Their IT department will continue to maintain that part of the system. 911 will take over responsibility for the dispatch side of it, so we'll pay all of the dispatch costs and for all of that module, and then each of the agencies will pay for the mobile version of that. Now, where the volunteer firefighters are concerned, because of the nature of the system and in talking to them, the in-truck mobile app is not going to be necessary for them. For Florence, it will be, because dispatch is based on the location of the trucks, and so they'll have a system within their trucks that shows where their trucks are going. With the volunteers, they're just dispatched by station, so where they're at doesn't really make a difference because we know where their station is at. But they will each have access to what's called Touch, which is the mobile app. So it will alert their phone if their department is paged out. They'll get all of their information on their cell phones. You will all, if you so choose, can have access to that, and you can see what's going on in the county at any given time. And so that's kind of how the system will be set up. But as we discussed, and as I've discussed with you in the past, it'll be the first time in the history of mine and your career that we've all been on the same system, and it's reasonable. Comparatively speaking, the other organizations that we talked to were about double the price that doing this with the existing system is. And with those other systems, they can push data into the current records management system that Sheriff Hamilton uses, but it can't draw information out of that system. So logistically, this is the right move. So all that being said, are y'all open to furthering that part of the conversation? Okay.
You said 58 start.
Yes, sir. It'll be 58, 486, 24 is first year, and that'll be sometime late this year. I don't know if it'll hit next year's budget yet or not, but it's just a one-time fee. And since we're in the middle of budget hearings, if the commission is okay with me saying this, I don't want it to negatively impact his ability to continue running his department, because this is a one-time project, one-time cost. And then every year after that, it will be about $16,000. Commissioner Garner, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, sir.
No, you answered it.
Okay. Any other questions about that? Did that cover everything, Sheriff? Okay. Second on the agenda tonight, you have the CDBG. The public hearing was held for it. There were no negative comments from any of the stakeholders involved with that. That project just reallocates some resources, and what we had discussed, and it actually, and I can kind of tell you about what happened during the 4th and whatnot. Part of that is the ATV that we have, being able to put the medical transport on it. It will provide the radios for the volunteer fire department so that they can communicate back and forth with the hospital. It'll include the tablets for training and for emergency response, as well as the finished build out of the command post for EMA. So all that's grant, no dollars from the commission. That was all part of that COVID grant money. And lastly, so everybody, I think at this point knows about what's going on in Chisholm Heights with the water authority up there. Just to kind of give you the facts of what happened, because there's a lot of information going around about how all of this came about and whatnot. So, and Commissioner Parker, I think I got the wrong phone number for you, because I called you and left a message, but I don't think I got to you. So I'll get with you and make sure I got the right number. So Friday night-ish is when the issue happened. There's a 6-inch line that's about 5.5 feet below grade, right against Highway 17 or Chisholm Road, around 224-ish or 124-ish, so north of Wilson School. And that line runs up against the side of a culvert, a drainage culvert. So that line broke. As that line broke, it started draining the tanks. As they're driving up and down trying to figure out where that break is, they see the culvert, and there's water in the culvert, but it never put 2 and 2 together that right there is where that break happened. So overnight, Friday night into Saturday, the tank drains. So 250,000 gallons of water empty from that tank into the little creek that's there and goes away. They spent most of the day Saturday looking for that leak. I was contacted around 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon by the fire chief out there wanting to know what resources we might have for the volunteers in the event that fire happened. So that was the first that we were notified of anything. Chisholm Heights does not currently have social media access, and they don't really have an office. You can call and leave a number, but the communication, they recognize, especially after this, that there's some work that needs to be done. So there wasn't a whole lot of information that went out. When I first came into this position, Chairman Pettis had requested that we put into place or implement our wireless emergency alert system, which basically works like an Amber Alert does on your cell phone. And so we used that Saturday afternoon to notify the community of what was going on, that the boil water advisory had been put into place, and then we began working with the authority to try to identify where that location was. At the same time, ADM got involved and the Alabama Rural Water Authority got involved. They sent representatives up here Sunday morning, and that's when the leak was located. So the leak got fixed about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and the tank started filling. At some point overnight, a second break in the line farther north of there on Chisholm Road, north of County Road 8 occurred. That break was not as severe as the first break, but it did limit their ability to get water back into the tank. So where we're at as of now is both of those breaks are fixed. They do not believe that they have another significant break in the system. There is potentially, we're arguing about a leak on 61. And the tank is filling. As of an hour before this meeting, 95% of all of the residents within the community had water flowing back, but it was just flowing, it wasn't pressurized. It'll take probably 24 to 48 hours for that tank to fill back up, and it'll probably be 2.5, 3 days before that system gets back to fully functioning. So that's pretty much the long and the short of it.
Brad, on your notification.
Yes, sir.
That went out to the users.
Yes, sir. What I did with that, so think about like when a tornado watch or a tornado warning is issued and you have a polygon on a map for the affected area. We took the area of responsibility for the water authority and created a polygon over that area, and that's where we sent the message out to. We had a lot of folks that were calling that were concerned that they were at work and they saw it on our Facebook page and like, I didn't get it, I live out there. The system works on where you're at when we send the alert. So if you may live on Chisholm Road, but you're at work in Sheffield, and if I send the alert and you're not on Chisholm Road, you're not going to get it. But the alert stays active for 2 hours. So in my case, I come down here, I send the alert goes out, I get confirmation that it goes out. 45 minutes later, I drive north on Chisholm Road, and as I'm driving north on Chisholm Road, the alert hits my phone because it's continuing to try to ping that alert out for that 2 hour time span. So that's where the information went to. We'll do the same thing once the boil order has been lifted. We'll send another alert out to let them know that they can start drinking the water again and whatnot. It did bring up a couple of issues that I know that I've talked with Commissioner Hackworth and Chairman Pettis about, but we've never, EMA has always been an extremely reactive organization. It has never really been a proactive organization. And so in this case, I was really concerned with the fact that we had a community without water and we didn't have any stockpiles of water to give them. Now, if you want to go by the letter of the law, it's the water authority's responsibility to make sure that their customers are taken care of. The reality of the matter is our rural water authorities don't have a lot of money. They don't have the resources to plan for something like this. And so when it happens, they don't have the means by which to do it. And so I feel very strongly that it is the responsibility of my agency and the responsibility of our commission and city, depending on where it's at, to help with that. So what I'd like to do, with your permission, is stockpile about 15 pallets of water at the EMA facility. We've got room now that we got rid of the stuff we don't need, so that if this happens again, let me rephrase, when this happens again, because it will, that we can get that resource out there, because that's been kind of my biggest frustration with that. The second frustration, actually, by the grace of God, got taken care of this morning. I talked to Mr. Hill this weekend, just trying to see if we had any water buffaloes that we could fill up to take out there, if nothing else, for folks to be able to flush their commode or to rinse off or whatnot. And that's not to consume, but just to have. And we did not have that. Eric brought up that his tankers are steel, and so it's probably not a good idea in that case. But the Alabama Department of Public Health had some buffaloes, and we took possession of one about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we have that resource to be able to use when this happens again. We're too late into this one for it to make any difference, but we do have that. I would love, and I talked to Ms. Bryant earlier, and the law prohibits us. So I know we can't do what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was to approach the commission and say, can we set aside a pot of money as a disaster fund that I would have access to in the event that we had an emergency, and put forth some policies and procedures on when that money could be used, how it could be used, because I fear the time when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I got to get a piece of equipment and I don't have any means by which to pay for it or whatnot. State law prohibits anyone except for the chief administrative officer of the county to have a credit card or debit card. That was the way that the law was written in 2013. I hope that that changes at some point in time so that you can have purchasing cards within the county commission. But that's kind of the struggle that we've got. The way our purchasing policies are set up, there is a very strict procedure in place, and it's there for a reason. I'm not knocking that procedure at all. But in times of emergency or on the weekends, it's going to be difficult to get a handwritten PO that turns into a typed out PO that then is taken to a vendor locally to try to get something done. And so I hope that at some point in time that the commission will look at that policy and see if there's ways to maybe advance it some while still being very stringent so that there's not abuse of public funds, but to be able to get those resources.
Well, I'm very familiar with that system, and of course my suggestion has been for the past 5 years that they do like Waterloo did, turn the system over to West Lauderdale. I realize you can still have breaks.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, I know that. But they do not have what they need to keep that system in good working order.
Yes, sir.
So, that has been my suggestion for five years to the water people out there,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes, sir. And I'm sure that conversation will come before the commission. I know that there's a lot of chatter on social media this week, and there's a petition that's floating around to come to the commission related to that. And, y'all are the elected officials, do what you feel is in the best interest of the community. What scares me in that is, had there been a major structure fire that happened, then Zip City doesn't have the capacity. Now, thankfully, there's good MOUs in place between Zip City and Mid Lauderdale, and this outage affected part of Mid Lauderdale's fire response area and Central to be able to get water in, but that kind of break at 250,000 gallons that quick, you know, the commission went out and helped the water system acquire the additional tank, but that additional tank is yet to be hooked up. And so, you know, there's a lot of compounding issues or concerns that are there. Mine is, from EMA's perspective, mine's kind of twofold. One, to make sure the fire service has what they need to be able to fight a fire if it happens, and to be able to have a resource that I can get into play very quickly to make sure that our vulnerable populations, especially in this heat, don't have to wait or whatnot. If the commission will allow me, and the reason I'm asking you is because it's not anywhere in my budget to be able to do that. I have money in my budget, I think, so long as Ms. Brenda, you know, helps me through it. But if y'all are comfortable with it, then I would like to do that, to get those pallets of water so that if this happens again. And then my suggestion would be that on a yearly basis, that we rotate that stockpile out so that the water doesn't go sour. And whether that be, you know, allotting part of that to the folks that are doing bush hogging, or whether that be at community events during the summer. But I think that's probably going to be the time to rotate that out. Food is always going to be taken care of by Red Cross, and they're very, very good at that. But when it comes to drinking water and water to be able to have, I think that's a resource that we can help provide.
Well, and that's certainly a good idea. I mean, that could happen west.
Mhm.
I mean, but what I've suggested to those folks is that West Lauderdale has got the equipment to deal with catastrophes like that.
Mhm.
And anyway,
Yes.
it's one of those deals.
Yes.
But that'd be good. I mean, to have, I think, something back up to furnish these people some water and stuff. Because some of these folks got in the bind. They call me.
Mhm.
I mean, they really got in the bind. And some folks, well, last night I think it was the majority of them got some water back.
Yes, sir.
So I'd be certainly in favor of that, but going forward, I think it needs to be some negotiating done.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I like that idea of storing water, and I like the idea of the commission owning it, because that way we could use that water for any kind of catastrophic event, whether it was a storm came through, or whatever, we'd have access to fresh drinking water.
That's a good idea.
All right. Then I'll work with Ms. Bryant and we'll get that taken care of. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question. Brent, what is the storm shelter in Lexington? How many do they have, and where are they?
All right, they have two. They have one that's municipally owned, that's behind City Hall, and then the bank, right, it is the other one.
But the county commission doesn't have a storm shelter.
The county commission owns 0 storm shelters in Lauderdale County.
Okay.
They are all owned by the communities in which they are located. Anything else? All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
This afternoon, during the meeting, the Cobra Town Sign request will have a public hearing. And if the commission, after the public hearing, decides unanimously to place the matter on the agenda, then it will go at the end of the agenda for passage of resolution. If any one of you feel that it needs time to contemplate and further research, then it will roll to the second meeting in July. We'll determine at the end of the public hearing whether or not you want to deal with it today. On the alcohol rearage issues, I have spoken with the attorneys from the smaller municipalities and asked them if they're going to get a proposal where we do two things. One, agree on the arrearage amount, and two, make your proposal about a payment plan to pay the arrearage off. So I hope to have that from all of the municipalities, hopefully by the next meeting on the smaller ones. I have a meeting with he was not available during the holiday week last week, but I have an appointment with Mr. Musgrove to discuss what you guys asked me to verbally relay to him Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So that issue is where it is. anything else, Chris? I'll be in office. Okay, well, let the department heads go.
I just wondered if you guys thought any more about the insurance policy, if you want to offer it or not, or we're gonna leave our resolution in place. I haven't heard from anybody on that. We need to decide the next, meeting or two, what y'all wanna do. And, Mr. Pettis sent me an email with the volunteer fire department person's name, so we have all of our, we can send it, in the next, we'll do a resolution with all of them, you know, the new 911 board members. And then I'm working on the holiday schedule again, first of next year. I don't have it finished yet. Rob Carney is coming to the work session on August the 5th to give us an update on all his thing. I told him he could have 15 minutes. He wanted 30, but I told him we didn't have 30 minutes, so I told him that reason. And then I think, you guys have seen the one, and I've discussed this with Brad, the letter we got from the two women that were concerned about the storm shelters not being open, but we've got that taken care of. Mr. Black's gonna talk to those two women. And, Ricky and I have got a couple of projects around the outside of the building. There's a couple of trees that we think we need to have cut down that are touching the building back here, the sidewalks coming up and everything. We're gonna get a couple of bids out. It probably won't, it may not be, need to be bid, but we'll get some estimates to see how much it's gonna be. We don't need to have any, of the trees touching. I haven't talked to the city about it, they may not like it, but, you know, some of these trees are just really way out of shape and up against the building, and when it rains and all that stuff, it keeps the glass loose in the
And it
windows.
uproots concrete stuff.
Yes. So that's gonna be a small project we're gonna start on. And then, you guys know about our, issue with the farmer's market. We need a new air conditioner and we need a new roof on that building out there. We're gonna get an estimate on those two things to do out at the farmer's market. Since I had to work out there Saturday, Mr. Chunt, our guy's sick. So me and Hayden worked out there Saturday. We're trying to find somebody to take his place until he comes back, but I don't know when he's gonna be back. And I wasn't aware that it was so hot out there in that building. I've been out there. Well, I think we just need to get one of those ceiling units out there, and then we wouldn't have to worry, it'd be heat, cold, and everything. But it won't be, they're not expensive, because the room's not very big. But we'll see what the price, you know, we'll get the best deal we can on whatever. But I'll come back with it on the, and Ricky had already had called a guy about getting us a couple of estimates on the roof. He'd already said that we need just that building. It's not the room's not even, maybe from here back, you know, if you have, I don't know if you've ever been in there, but it's not very big. It's small.
So you mentioned putting an air conditioner back on the roof?
You put an air conditioner in the ceiling. That's the newest air conditioner you get. Heat and air and everything just right in the middle of the room, and that's all you have to do.
There's water in the building.
Yeah, the bathrooms are in there.
I would think it's a little mini split or some kind.
It's what we're doing over there in the third floor.
Do we
Trying to
turn the
do it.
water off every year?
Yeah, we do.
We do? So we wouldn't really need heat.
We have heat already.
I mean, it's not used.
Well, it's used in the wintertime, and sometimes we use the building.
We
You
do?
wouldn't want, yeah.
Oh, I
The
didn't
maintenance
know.
guy, sometimes the city has to borrow it when they're having things over there, because they have that, thing across the street where we keep the water and everything cut off when it gets too cold.
But it is a unit that does heating and air, right?
It's a little small,
Yeah.
unit in that little office.
That's the kind of one that they definitely need to put back in there if it's not
Well,
that way.
it doesn't need to go in that room, it needs to go into the big room.
Yeah.
So, we'll get whatever's the best deal we can on that and get the, but I wouldn't do it without y'all looking at it anyway. If y'all don't want it, we won't do anything, doesn't matter, you
Well,
know,
no,
that's
that's-
just what,
That's fine.
that's all I got.
Sounds good. Anything else?
Okay.
Nothing? Okay. We'll let Cal Clark,
Mr. Pettis, I got one of these papers you missed. The paper you missed.